Pokemon Go 2024 has had a lot in store for us, and the question that is posed is when will we see Mega Mewtwo making its way into Pokemon Go? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you what my thoughts are for 2025, what it is to have in store for us, and then most importantly, what is going to potentially come the next year, or when will we see Mega Mewtwo and other game-breaking Pokemon in this game. So, welcome to the Trainer Club. Here we go! Before we jump in, what would you guys like to see from your perspective in Pokemon Go for 2025? Because, like I said, we have a lot of Pokemon that have made their way into the game. So we're going to cover on two systems really quick before we get into some of these Pokemon that I think we're going to be seeing this year, and then when we might see some of these other Pokemon. So we did have Gigantamax and Dynamax being released into the game right now. And obviously, as you guys can tell, it is not like a plethora of these Pokemon coming into the game and then all of a sudden the system's part of the game, it's complete. No, what they do in Pokemon Go is they slowly drip out their content over multiple years. So for the Gigantamax Pokemon, I can expect at least, I would say, 3 years worth of content in a slowly but steady manner, because they can also mix in Mega Pokemon, Raid Pokemon, and combining Pokemon. Yes, we did say combining Pokemon. That will be something we feature in this video as well, which I think is a very high probability that we're going to see this year. So expect the Gigantamax Pokemon to be slowly released over the next couple years. So there are Pokemon in here you may be like, hey, I can't wait to see that Pokemon, and I don't know when you will see that Pokemon, because as of right now, we've had Gigantamax Lapras, we've had Gigantamax Toxtricity, and then we have the Kanto starters. And this is kind of how it's been mirrored when we did see the Mega System. Remember, the Mega System did come out multiple years ago, and we saw the starters come out, and then we also saw them slowly start dripping out things such as Mega Pidgeot, and then further down the line, and we still have a few Pokemon left, including that Mega Mewtwo. And then we've also seen this year the Necrozma, which I think is going to be the first thing that we're going to cover in this video, where we had the combination of the Necrozma and the Solgaleo and the Lunala. And for some reason, I'm spacing on that name of what it's called when you do this, but if you guys do know it, drop in the comments below. So we are going to see this combination Pokemon, and I do believe in 2025, I don't want to say guaranteed, but I can almost feel like I can guarantee this, that we are going to see the black and the white version of the Kyurem. And the Kyurem is going to be combined with Zekrom to make the black, or Reshiram to make the white, and that turns into a dragon and an ice type Pokemon. Could be one of the strongest ice types in the game, which is very exciting for us. Obviously, what they have projected as the movesets in the database right now can change up at any time and can potentially not be accurate. So we don't know what the movesets are going to be, and we don't know if there's going to get a nerf to those Pokemon, how strong they're going to be, how not strong they're going to be. But this Necrozma this year, and then now that we're kind of in the Unova region and we have this going on this year with the Unova Tour in LA, I can expect at least by Go Fest that these Pokemon will be out. If not, the attenders of the Unova Tour will at least be able to get a sneak preview and potentially one fusion, there we go, of those Pokemon, okay? So I think that that fusion is very possible this year. The other part that we need to mention is that the Zen modes. We have not seen the Zen mode Darmanitan or any type of like mode kind of thing happen like that, but I do believe that's a possibility. Do I think that's going to be this year? I don't. I think that could be in 2026 would be the 10-year anniversary, which will lead into our Mega Pokemon here in a second. But let's check out the stats of these Kyurems. So since both of the Reshiram and the Zekrom will have the same stats, more than likely the black and the white version will have the same stats as well, maxing out at 5206 as of right now, with an attack of 310, a defense of 183, and a stamina of 245. The one thing I am going to mention here is I would not be surprised if, let's say, you already have a Kyurem and you have the 100% IV, that Pokemon Go decides that you have to raid for this specific Pokemon, and you have to be able to get this Pokemon with a specific move from raid battles, and then you take that raid battled Pokemon and then you can use it on the fusion. That's similar to what we saw for the Necrozma. It's like you have to be able to fuse it, and in order to get that move, it comes from the raid battles. So I think that that is going to be the same thing that happens here, where same thing with Dialga and Palkia in their origin forms. In order to get those moves, you cannot elite TM them. I think we've kind of been primed for that type of mechanism in Pokemon Go right now, and that is going to be what happens with this new Pokemon. You have to be able to have the moveset, and then you have to have the energy, and then you can fuse. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we can use our Kyurems, but I don't think that's going to be 100% what happens, which is then going to transition us into the Megas. We do have a couple Megas that are outstanding right now. Mega Gallade, which we are going to be able to see on Saturday, January 11th for a Mega Gallade raid day. And this one will have, similar to what we see in most of the other raid days, with the 3-hour raid day window, we have the increased shiny chances, the 5 free passes, the add-on ticket, all of that is going to be featured in this day. So the Mega Gallade will be a part of this system. And I'm thinking that probably by close to the end of 2024, we will be almost through the entire Mega system because there's not really many Megas left. So this Pokemon is fighting in Psychic, and it's going to max out at 5,112. We will see if this is going to be a game breaker at some point, with an attack of 326, a defense of 230, and a stamina of 169. The other couple Megas that are going to be potentially debuted this year is going to be Mega Sharpedo, which is going to be a water and a dark type Pokemon, which is already kind of outshined by different Pokemon right now. So it probably won't be the most effective Pokemon. Not only that, we have the Mega Camerupt, which is going to be a fire and a ground type Pokemon, which is already outshadowed by the Primal Groudon. The stats of the Mega Sharpedo is going to max out at 3701 with a 289 attack, a 144 defense, and a 172 stamina. And then the Camerupt is going to be 3641 with an attack of 253, a defense of 183, and a stamina of 172. So as you guys can see, these Pokemon are not the most effective and the most powerful Pokemon in the game. However, there are still a couple Megas out there that are game breaking and can add some extreme value into the game. Number one of those Pokemon that I believe we're going to see this year is going to be the Mega Metagross. This is going to be a Psychic and a Steel type Pokemon. Very exciting because of that combination right there. Not only that, this Pokemon is extremely strong, the strongest Steel type Pokemon that we're going to see in Pokemon Go from a meta attacker standpoint. As far as a Psychic type Pokemon, we obviously have the Mega Mewtwo, which we're going to talk about next, and that's going to be the final Mega that we don't have in the game yet. Will it be in this year? I don't know, but the Metagross is going to max out at 5,552. Wow, that's extremely high for this game. It's going to have attack of 200, a defense of 289, and a stamina of 189. So, game-breaking Pokemon, the strongest Steel type in the game. Extremely excited about that. Which then leads us to our last Pokemon, and that's going to be the Mega Mewtwo. So we do have the Mega Mewtwo X, which is going to be the fighting and the psychic type combination, which will make it the strongest fighting type in the game, but not the strongest psychic, behind the Mega Mewtwo Y. Okay, so Mega Mewtwo Y is going to be a pure psychic type Pokemon. Do I believe Mega Mewtwo will be making its way into Pokemon Go in 2025? I don't. I think that this is going to be a conclusion Pokemon that will be featured in some type of massive 10-year celebration in 2026. Because just a reminder, guys, Mewtwo is one of those Pokemon that is highly desired, it's highly sought after, and then in the Mega form, it is going to be extremely sought after, an extremely large amount of drive towards that Pokemon. People are going to be excited about it, and then that's going to make a lot of people not even have the desire to play too much after that specific instance, because a lot of people, I've heard, not a ton, but some, are going to be like, man, once I get that Mega Mewtwo, I'm kind of done with Pokemon Go. I feel like I beat the game and things like that. But we have had the Gigantamax system strategically entered into the game before we make our way into the grand finale, introducing all of those Mega Pokemon into the game. That doesn't mean that Mega Mewtwo won't make its way back into the game, which it will, similar to as Mewtwo raids will come back, and Shadow Mewtwo raids, I'm sure, will make their way back in the game. But we do have Shadow legendaries in the game as well, which is going to transition us into those Pokemon. But let's check out the Mewtwo stats. Mega Mewtwo X is going to be a grand total of 7,339 CP, an attack of 412, a defense of 222, and the stamina of 235. And then the Mega Mewtwo Y, which is going to be the pure psychic, at 7,690, the strongest, highest CP in the game, an attack of 426, a defense of 229, and a stamina of 235. But I just want to put a note here that as of right now in the system, it looks like the Dragon Ascent on Mega Rayquaza is stronger than the Mega Mewtwo will be. I don't know if that will maintain, but as of right now, that's what it is. So then we're going to go into the Shadow Legendary raids. So as of right now, we have the cycle of the Regis. So we have the Regice, we're gonna have the Regirock, and then we're gonna have the Registeel. So those ones will more than likely make their way through 3 months, which will be January, February, March, and then we're gonna have April, May, June, which I believe that they're gonna recycle those as well. but then we have to think about having the Shadow Legendary Raid weekends as well, such as the Mewtwo. In 2025, I believe that Mewtwo will make its way back, so we will be able to see that. I really truly believe that. Not only that, I do believe that Regigigas will have a raid weekend as well, because Regigigas is a strong enough Pokemon in the game and cool enough Pokemon that a shiny Shadow Regigigas would be warranted in a raid weekend. And then finally, for the raid weekends, I do believe we will see a Groudon and a Kyogre shiny Shadow raid weekend as well. I don't think that those Pokemon are going to be making their way into the game in like a month-long stretch, just because of how powerful they're going to be and how desirable they're going to be. So they're going to limit those to a weekend of desirability. So that's where I'm thinking as far as the shiny Shadow legendaries in Pokemon Go. And then finally, we have to cover the Gigantamax system. So what do I think we're going to see in the Gigantamax system in 2025? Well, there's a lot of Pokemon to debut here. One of the main Pokemon that I do believe that we will see is going to be the Gigantamax Machamp. I'm excited to see that Pokemon in the game. It's going to be a fun time. But before we see Machamp in the game, we're going to have to see a Pokemon that leads into this Pokemon to have a good counter for it. So what would be good against the fighting type? That would be flying, and that would also be psychic. So what I believe that's going to come before that is going to be the Corviknight Gigantamax. Will be released, and then a couple weeks later to a couple months later, whatever that situation looks like from a time perspective, we will see the Mega Machamp into the game, so that will be a situation. Not only that, I do believe that we will see the Gigantamax Pikachu and Eevee in the game this year, and then finally the Gigantamax Rillaboom. I think that all of those Pokemon are feasible. We already have the Gigantamax Charizard. I do believe that the Kanto starters will make their way back into the game, so that we will be able to see that. And we might be able to see some of the other Gigantamax Pokemon, such as the Cinderace, as well, but we will see what happens as that. But I do believe that the Rillaboom will be in the game, and it's already kind of set up for that system, similar to as we did see these Toxtricity that set us up for the Gigantamax Lapras, because you need to have these really strong Pokemon to be able to fight these really strong Pokemon. So they have kind of learned how the game transpires and how it is important to introduce certain Pokemon to be able to lead into other Pokemon, especially when we're going to be able to have some type of situation like that. And then after Gigantamax Machamp is introduced into the game, I do believe this year that we will see the Gigantamax Snorlax. So that would be extremely cool, because the Machamp will set us up to be able to have fighting type to go over against a normal type Pokemon, which will be a home run hit. And don't forget, guys, that just because these Pokemon have already been out in the game doesn't mean we will not see a reappearance of them as well. So do expect that some of these Gigantamax Pokemon, Mega Pokemon, Raid Pokemon will continually make their way back into the game. And then finally, I'm going to put an addition on here that I would love to see in the game, is to have Elite Raids featuring mythical Pokemon at some point. Even if it's just like there's 1 hour where you'll be able to go and raid a couple Mews or something like that. And if they don't do that, I would love to see the even lucky trade swaps coming into the game. But if they allow that, it should be at a base floor of 13, 13, 13, similar to as the mighty Pokemon have made their way into the game. And it has to be an even swap, meaning shiny Mew for shiny Mew. You can trade those if you didn't get a fortunate one in the game, which I think that's fair if they're going to limit us to only basically 1 to 2 to potentially 3 with the shiny one of these Pokemon. So for us in 2025, these are going to be the main hitting Pokemon that I'm excited to see. The main focuses are the Kyurem Black and the White version. We are going to have a couple Gigantamax versions, and then we're also going to have some Mega versions of Pokemon in the game. So let me know if you think I missed any major points of Pokemon Go 2025, but I believe these are going to be the highlights of the year. Let me know in the comments below. Love and appreciate you guys. See you on the next video. Peace.
I want to take this time to thank everybody who supports me in every facet. It means the world to me, and an extra special thank you to all my Patreons. I greatly appreciate the extra support to continue to allow me to pursue Pokemon Go full time, allowing me to create my daily video uploads in the most timely fashion for everyone's benefit. Plus, I get the amazing experience of sharing my creative processes behind the scenes and raiding all around the globe with select upper tiers. Thank you everybody for being a part of the Trainer Club. You all mean the absolute world to me, and I will see you guys out on the next video.